going on, guys? It's your boy Dom Kemp, and tonight we are back with another sports podcast. Guys, we have some NFL news for you. Maybe when you're looking at the title right now, you know exactly what it is, and that is Alex Smith has agreed to a contract with the Washington Redskins, and the Chiefs actually traded him. He made the Pro Bowl and things of that sort, but guys, we're going to talk about it. And one more thing I'm going to talk about is Alex Smith will average $23.5 million per year, $71 million guaranteed on a 4-year deal with the Redskins. So he's going to be locked up with the Redskins. But what does that mean for Kirk Cousins? Where will he go? That's the next question. But guys, this trade will not fall all the way through until next season. So guys, it's still the 2017-2018 season. In 2018-2019, Alex Smith will officially be a Washington Redskin, guys. So definitely have to put that into consideration. And it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to be taking over the Kansas City Chiefs, the backup who was a rookie this season. Let's jump straight into it, guys. We're going to be talking about a lot of things in the NFL going on, as well as Tom Brady and things of sorts, and what he had to say about a former player on the Philadelphia Eagles that he was a teammate with last season for the Super Bowl. As well as a couple more things, guys, and a lot of interesting information. Hope you guys go into enjoying this podcast, guys. And I am definitely going to be talking about a lot of things, such as O.J. Simpson and things, and his past and things of that sort. So let's jump straight into it, guys. Chiefs trading QB Smith to Redskins. Let's read about this, says the sources of ESPN. Let's listen to what they had to say. The Washington Redskins and Kansas City Chiefs have engaged in the first blockbuster of the 2018 offseason. The Redskins will acquire quarterback Alex Smith, ESPN has confirmed, allowing them to part ways with previous starter Kirk Cousins. The Kansas City Star first reported the trade, which can't become official until the start of the league on March 14th. The Redskins would give Kansas City a third-round pick and Redskins cornerback Kendall Fuller as compensation, sources told ESPN. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen also reported that Smith would sign a 4-year extension with the Redskins, averaging $23.5 million per year with $71 million in guaranteed money. So that does mean, guys, this. That even if he gets injured in the first game next season, he's getting that guaranteed $71 million. Amazing, guys. That is one of the perks of being a quarterback in the NFL. Even if you're injured, you will get the guaranteed money due to the fact that you are a franchise-changing quarterback, such as Alex Smith. Played for the Chiefs. Played for the San Francisco 49ers, then played for the Chiefs, and now is on the Washington Redskins in the capital. Fuller is the player that made the trade for Alex Smith possible. According to Schefter, the Chiefs view Fuller as a bona fide starter to go along with the third-round pick they are receiving. At least 6 other teams expressed interest in Smith, according to Schefter. The move likely gives Washington a cheaper alternative to Cousins at quarterback, since they would have to franchise him, guys. Just to let you know, they would have to franchise Kirk Cousins this season, which would have had been paying him over $30 million a year. And I believe, not quite sure. Kirk Cousins is a pending free agent and made it clear that he did not want to strike a deal before free agency began. During multiple appearances on Radio Row at the Super Bowl Tuesday, Cousins reiterated what he had said all along this offseason. He could wait to see if the Redskins tagged him by the March 6th deadline before deciding what would come next. But a third franchise tag would have cost him $34.5 million, and a transition tag would have cost him $28.8 million. Now Cousins can hit free agency, and the Redskins will receive a third-round compensatory pick in 2019. The fear for Washington was that paying Cousins perhaps more than $25 million per year would have handcuffed them in making other moves. The Redskins have approximately $52 million in cap space available for 2018. It is uncertain yet how much Smith will cost against the cap in 2018, but it will be cheaper for Washington than tagging Cousins. Signs have pointed for some time that the Chiefs would trade Smith, their starting quarterback, since he was acquired in 2013. They last year traded up in the first round to draft Patrick Mahomes II, who looked ready to become a regular in the one game he started this season. The Chiefs also need some salary cap relief and would save $17 million by trading Smith. Smith, 33, he came to the Chiefs in a 2013 trade that sent 2 second-round draft picks to the San Francisco 49ers. He not only stabilized what had been a shaky position for the Chiefs, 7 different players started the game for the Chiefs at quarterback over the 6 seasons prior to Smith's arrival, but he guided the team to the playoffs in 4 of his 5 seasons. The Chiefs won the AFC West in each of the past 2 seasons. But Smith was only 1-4 with the Chiefs in the playoffs and couldn't guide them past the divisional round. The Chiefs scored just 16 points in their 2016 playoff loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers and were shut out in the second half of their postseason defeat against the Tennessee Titans last year. The Chiefs last year drafted a quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, in the first round for the first time in 34 years. That signaled the beginning of the end of Smith's time with the Chiefs. Smith responded with his best NFL season. He was NFL's top-rated passer with a 104.7 rating and set career records with 4,042 yards and 26 touchdown passes. Smith spent the first 8 seasons of his career with the 49ers. He was having, at that time, his best NFL season in 2012 when he was benched late in the year in favor of Colin Kaepernick. The 49ers went on that season to the Super Bowl with Smith as a backup. The 49ers drafted Smith with the first overall pick in 2005. Okay, pretty interesting right there, guys. What is your opinion on the trade for Alex Smith, guys? How do you think he will do in Washington? And how do you think Patrick Mahomes will do in Kansas City next season as a second-year player now? As well as, of course, Kirk Cousins, where he will go, guys. I believe Kirk Cousins is either going to go to the Broncos or the Jaguars. That is my opinion. Let me know yours down below. Let's just move into it, guys. Gronk still in protocol, confident he will play in the Super Bowl. Rob Gronkowski thinks he'll play in Super Bowl, but still in protocol. Bloomington, Minnesota. New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski answered questions from reporters for the first time since being diagnosed with a concussion in the AFC Championship game. And he sounded confident he will be on the field Sunday in Super Bowl 52. And I quote, "Yes," Gronkowski said with a smile when asked by ESPN's Josina Anderson if he thought he would play in the game. Asked if he is out of the concussion protocol, Gronkowski said, and I quote, "Hopefully by tomorrow. We will see how it goes and what the doctors say. I'm not the guy to say I'm out of the protocol. That is the doctor's call." And I quote, "I'm feeling good," he added when asked about his health. Gronkowski was injured when he took a hard hit to the head by Jacksonville Jaguars safety Barry Church in the second quarter of the Patriots' 24-20 victory in the AFC Championship on January 21st. Gronkowski's remarks Tuesday came after he went head-to-head with LeGarrette Blount on Xbox One X as they joined Xbox Live Sessions, Super Bowl edition, for a preview of Super Bowl 52. Blount's Eagles beat Gronkowski's Patriots 33-13. And I quote, "He's a good friend," Gronkowski said. "He had a blast tonight." Man, that's awesome. Playing Madden. Man, that is so cool. Playing Madden, Rob Gronkowski versus LeGarrette Blount. And the Philadelphia Eagles actually won that in LeGarrette Blount's favor. Moving on, though, guys. How do you feel about Rob Gronkowski and if he is able to play in the Super Bowl on Sunday, guys? I believe he is going to be able to play because he's a big part of the Patriots offense, and he's definitely a target for Tom Brady to hit time and time again. Your opinion is also needed down below, so let me know how you feel about Gronkowski and playing on Sunday. Moving on, one-handed linebacker Griffin invited to combine after initial snub. Now, guys, if you guys don't know about this guy, this is a one-handed linebacker, yes, one-handed, from the University of Central Florida. Shaquem Griffin is heading to the NFL scouting combine. After all, he won the Defensive Player of the Year in the conference, in the American Conference, 2 times in a row, 2016 and 2017, and he's definitely a high-rated prospect out of the University of Central Florida when they did go 12-0 this past season, so I have to give them credit there. He played a huge part on the defensive side for them. But guys, he got snubbed before. No one mentioned him in the combine before the Senior Bowl, but now he's mentioned in the combine and he has an invite. Shaquem Griffin is heading to the NFL scouting combine after all. The star linebacker from the University of Central Florida has received an invitation to the combine. His agent confirmed Tuesday it is a significant development as Griffin attempts to become the first player with one hand to be drafted during the league's modern era, according to the NFL. The news of his combine invitation comes after Griffin stood out at the Senior Bowl, where he was named Practice Player of the Week. And I quote, "Thank you all for all y'all support. The entire nation's behind me and I couldn't do it without you. I'm going to let you know. Something special is coming soon and you are going to see it," Griffin said in a video he tweeted. And I quote, "They invited the right one to the NFL Combine. I'm going to show you. I've got a lot to prove against all odds." Hashtag NFL Combine bound. Hashtag against all odds. That's what Shaquem Griffin posted on his Twitter January 30th, 2018, 11:13 a.m. Griffin's left hand was amputated at age 4 because of a congenital condition called nanoetic band syndrome. Hopefully I said that correctly. Despite that, he was a 2-year starter at UCF and a first-team All-American Athletic Conference selection both seasons. He was the AAC's Defensive Player of the Year in 2016 and was named the Defensive MVP of the Peach Bowl, which completed UCF's 13-0 2017 season. That he was not included on the initial list of Combine invitees came as a surprise to many, including his twin brother, Shaquem Griffin. Wait a second. How are they twin brothers if one of them's already in the NFL? Okay. Shaquem Griffin, a cornerback for the Seattle Seahawks. And I quote, "I feel like any other player who has the accolades that he has and everything that he's accomplished, he'd be the first person to have a Combine invite," Shaquem told ESPN last week. And I quote, "And you are going to tell me the reason why is because of his situation? That's not fair. I'm not sure what else he has to prove at that point. That's the reason why I stood up for him. Not just because he's my twin brother. He proved everybody wrong. He did everything he's done. He has all the accolades. He's a baller. I don't see why he shouldn't have a Combine invite." Closed quotes. It's not uncommon for players to eventually receive invitations to the Combine after being left off the initial list. That happened last year with Shaquem Griffin, a third-round pick by Seattle. How are they twins? That's what I'm trying to understand. How are they twins if literally one of them's older? Maybe not even that. Maybe he was a junior last year, and then he graduated. Okay, never mind. Now I could see why they're twins. My apologies. Okay, the third-round pick by Seattle. Still, Shaquem's Combine snub was a storyline during Senior Bowl week. And I quote, "I would love to see him at the Combine. I think he's earned it," San Francisco 49ers general manager John Lynch said. "I think everyone's watching closely. You talk to people at UCF, and they talk about a program changer. A guy who is obviously inspiring, but not just inspiring, who was a big-time contributor." And I quote, "So if you keep checking the boxes, and this week was another box for him, and I think he'll account for himself very well." Griffin was credited with 4 tackles during the Senior Bowl game. I actually need to look at highlights from the Senior Bowl game because I didn't even know what happened yet. So pretty interesting there. Moving on, Brady hopes Long goes easy on him Sunday. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier previously in the podcast, guys. I was talking about Tom Brady and his ex-teammate Chris Long. Tom Brady hopes ex-teammate Chris Long respects his elders, in quotation marks. New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady had a playful message for former teammate and current Philadelphia Eagles defensive end Chris Long leading up to Super Bowl 52 on Sunday. And I quote, "I hope he doesn't hit me too hard if he gets a shot. Hopefully he respects his elders a little bit out there," Brady said with a smile Tuesday. Brady is the first 40-year-old quarterback to lead his team to the Super Bowl. Before this year, Peyton Manning, 2015, 39 years old, 320 days, and John Elway, 1998, 38 years old, 217 days, were the oldest quarterbacks to start a Super Bowl. Brady will also pass one of the players he rooted for as a youngster in the Bay Area, wide receiver Jerry Rice, as the oldest non-kicker to play in a Super Bowl. When Rice played from the Oakland Raiders in Super Bowl 37, he was 40 years old and 105 days. On Sunday, Brady will be 40 years old and 185 days. Brady is the oldest non-kicker / punter in the NFL and has embraced his senior citizen status, which has continued over the past 2 days upon the team's arrival in Minnesota for the Super Bowl. For the first time, Brady has answered questions on why he put together a documentary. Quote, "Tom versus Time" with filmmaker Gotham Chopra. And I quote, "I just thought it would be fun, a great opportunity," he said. "It was just good timing, I think." Brady completed about 80% of the documentary in the offseason. Brady, meanwhile, said his right hand, injured during the week leading up to the AFC Championship game, is getting better. "It's not quite where I want it to be, so I'm just trying to protect it the best way I can. It's obviously a very important part of my body for a quarterback, so I just want it to be healthy as possible for the game on Sunday," he said. Nub, the glove he is wearing on his hand, he said, "Under Armour just made it for me. It's a great glove. It's got a lot of recovery in it, and that's what I need at this time." As for Long, Brady said, "I really enjoyed my time with Chris. He's a hell of a player, and he made huge plays for us last year. He's made some great plays for the Eagles this year. They have a dominant pass rush on both edges, right up the middle, and he's a big part of that. He's a great leader, practices his butt off, great enthusiasm. I have a ton of respect for him." So there you go, guys, right there. Brady talking about his former teammate Chris Long. In that sense, pretty positive. Have to give him a lot of credit there. Shouting out his former teammate Chris Long. But it's a shame he hasn't talked about LeGarrette Blount yet. Maybe he will eventually. Moving on, Philly cops have new plan to stop pole climbers. So if the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl, guys, then there are going to be Philadelphia pole climbers who are trying to. Let's see what the Philadelphia Police Department has found out. Philadelphia police think they have found something better than Crisco to keep Philadelphia fans from climbing light poles if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, but they are keeping their playbook secret. A contingent of workers who jokingly call themselves the Crisco Cops applied shortening to light poles before the NFC Championship game, but it failed to stop some fans after the Eagles' victory. After Tuesday, whether police have found something slicker, Commissioner Richard Ross said, "We think so." He promised that whatever people do, it will be safe, but it will be effective. He says climbing poles on Sunday will be far more difficult than when police used a vegetable oil product which weather can affect. Ross says police are working to assure the safety of fans as well as the people who they could fall down on. So have to give the Philadelphia cops credit there, guys. They are definitely talking about a lot of things right there that will be going a long way, especially if Philadelphia does end up winning their first Super Bowl. I don't think it is their first Super Bowl, but I think it's been a long time since they have won a Super Bowl, guys. So moving on, Roger Goodell, Snyder won't change Redskins' name. That is something else we're going to talk about, which this morning I ended up listening to the podcast of Golick and Wingo. They ended up talking to Roger Goodell about possibly changing the Washington Redskins' name due to the fact that the Cleveland Indians have changed their logo. So let's read about this, guys. It's been a topic of discussion this week and up until this point, so let's bring it onto my podcast. One day after the Cleveland Indians announced that they would no longer use Chief Wahoo as a logo after the season, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said he did not see the Washington Redskins nickname changing. Redskins owner Dan Snyder has remained firm in his desire to keep the nickname, and Goodell said Tuesday on the Golick and Wingo show, "I don't see him changing that perspective." Despite increasing pressure the past years, Snyder hasn't budged once, telling USA Today that he will never change the nickname and you can use caps. Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred supported the Indians' decision that had reportedly been pushing the team over the past year to go in that direction. Goodell does not sound inclined to do the same. Dan Snyder has really worked in the Native American community to understand better their perspective, and I think it's reflective mostly in a Washington Post poll that came out in May 2016. And that said over 9 out of 10 Native Americans do not take that in a negative fashion. The Redskins logo or the Redskins name, and they support it. And Goodell told Golick and Wingo. In 2016, the Washington Post polled 540 Native Americans and found that 10% deemed the name offensive. The results were similar to those from a poll 12 years earlier by Nanneberg Public Policy Center. After the Indians announced their decision Monday to change the mascot campaign, issued a statement by Oneida Nation Representative Ray Halbritter wanting the Redskins to follow suit. The statement said in part, Cleveland's decision should finally compel the Washington football team to make the same honorable decision. For too long, people of color have been stereotyped with these kinds of hurtful symbols, and no symbol is more hurtful than the football team in the nation's capital using a dictionary-defined racial slur as its team name. Washington owner Dan Snyder needs to look at Cleveland's move and then look in the mirror and ask whether he wants to be forever known as the most famous pervery of bigotry in modern sports, or if he wants to finally stand on the right side of history and change his team's name. We hope he chooses the latter. Change the mascot issued another statement on Tuesday in response to Goodell's comments, which said Indian country has spoken with a clear and unified voice that promoting and profiting off of the R-word slur, which it denigrates our heritage and harms our people, is most definitely offensive and certainly not an honor, as the team and league claim. Ignoring the overwhelming feedback from those directly affected by the term and hiding behind discredited defenses is a poor attempt to deny the inevitability needed for a long overdue name change. The group called the Washington Post poll highly questioned and characterized Snyder's conversations with Native Americans as limited. Last year, the Supreme Court ruled that a trademark law that bars disparaging terms infringed or free speech writes, and was unconstitutional, providing a boost to the Redskins. Team president Bruce Allen also said in 2015 that the team wouldn't change the name even if doing so would help it secure a new stadium in the District of Columbia. The Redskins are also discussing sites in Maryland, where they currently play, and Virginia, where they train. Their lease at FedEx Field expires in 2027. That's in about 9 years. So don't expect the Washington Redskins to change their name. Now, guys, my opinion on this topic, I've heard various opinions. I've heard people saying it's not a problem at all. It's always been this way, yada, yada, yada. And then I've heard people who have said certain things like, finally, someone has realized, let's change this name. I don't know how I feel about it, guys. It's a team name. Okay, understand that. It's not saying it. Man, I have to choose my words very carefully here. It's not saying it in a racial way. It's not like walking up to someone and saying, hey, what's up, Redskin? And that's an Indian person, a Native American person. It's not like they're doing that. So I understand both sides of the phrase, but I don't really know how I feel. I'll just say this. Leave it the way it is. That's how it's been, and it seems like only 10% of the Native American population has some offense to it and takes some offense to it. But God, understand, if it was the majority vote, just like a lot of things, if it's majority vote, then it happens, with the exception of the presidential election. But other than that, if it's majority vote, then it seems like that's how it will go, and that's how this is playing out right here, guys. So, man, in my opinion, I'll say just leave it. It's a squad name, and it's used as the nation's capital football team. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. But please provide your opinion down below. Your constructive opinion, please. Thank you. Moving on, guys. Finally, last but not least, we're going to be talking about some O.J. Simpson. Latest bid to collect judgment from O.J. Simpson turned down. Santa Monica, California. O.J. Simpson dodged an effort Tuesday to force him to turn over cash he pockets from signing autographs to satisfy a $70 million plus civil judgment for the 1994 killings of the former football star's ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. The ruling in Los Angeles County Superior Court was the latest setback in the dodged efforts by Goldman's father, Fred, to get Simpson to pay up for a wrongful death lawsuit verdict that has doubled with interest over 2 decades. Judge Gerald Rosenberg told attorney David Cook that he needs to identify who paid Simpson in order to go after proceeds from autograph signings and celebrity appearances. Simpson was paid to sign jerseys, helmets, and posters from the People vs. O.J. Simpson TV series in October, shortly after his release from a Nevada prison. Cook said Simpson's lawyers said the money went to pay his legal bills. Simpson, 70 years old, served 9 years for armed robbery and assault for leading 5 men, 2 with guns, into a Las Vegas casino hotel in September of 2007 in an ill-conceived effort to confront 2 sports collectibles dealers over what he claimed was his property. The Pro Football Hall of Fame was acquitted of 2 accounts of murder in the 1994 slayings of his ex and Ron Goldman, but a civil court jury found him liable for wrongful death and ordered him to pay $33.5 million. Fred Goldman has hounded Simpson for years, and Cook contends the former football star has never willingly paid a cent of the court order. And I quote, Mr. Simpson has stated repeatedly he will never pay Fred Goldman on a voluntary basis, Cook said. And I quote, Simpson, from our point of view, is a denier. He's denied everything, and we are getting another round of it where he said, I was acquitted. The wrongful death judgment means nothing to me. It doesn't work that way, folks. Close quote. Goldman has repeatedly turned down possible deals to settle the case that include an offer about 20 years ago of about $5 million and potentially 25% of gross revenue Simpson could have earned going forward, said Ronald Slates, one of Simpson's lawyers. And I quote, all this talk about O.J. Simpson not contributing monies, not being willing to deal are outright, well, let's not call it lies, outright improper representations. Slate said, nothing we can do. God knows. And it can bring back Ron Goldman. That's a tragedy. But to prolong that for 21 years and not take a dime just because you want to teach Mr. Simpson a lesson, and you teach him a lesson by not letting him work, that's just not right. While most of the court award has been unpaid, Fred Goldman has been able to seize some of Simpson's assets, including video game royalties and the rights to the book, If I Did It. And a ghostwritten account in which Simpson tells how he might have killed his ex-wife and Ron Goldman. Goldman was able to acquire memorabilia in the hotel room that Simpson raided in Las Vegas, but Cook said most of it ended up being worthless and they returned the property to Simpson. So guys, pretty interesting. Very, very interesting process right there with O.J. Simpson. How do you guys feel about the O.J. Simpson trial? I don't know if he did it or if he didn't. I'm really not clicked into that sort of thing. But guys, let me know how you feel about the subject. Of course, in constructive criticism or a constructive response, that would be much appreciated. But other than that, I thank you guys for listening to this podcast this evening. If you guys went on to enjoying this podcast and listen all the way through, please go ahead, like and subscribe down below, and I will be back tomorrow with another podcast, so stay tuned for that, guys. So thank you for all your support on this series. I've been trying to make the most of it, but guys, this is more NFL news and the season is winding down rapidly. So other than that, thank you for listening. That's all I have to say for tonight. Have a good night and God bless. Peace, guys. Wow.